Look, here's something nobody's going to tell you straight, but I will. A woman is never going to walk up to you and just lay it all out there with words. She's not going to say, "Hey, I've decided I want you, so you should probably do something about that before I change my mind." That's just not how this works. That's not how any of this has ever worked. But something does happen, and this is the part that's absolutely maddening, because most guys completely miss it every single time. Women communicate what they want through their bodies, through physical signals that have nothing to do with language. I'm talking about a vocabulary that's been around forever, way before anyone was texting or sliding into DMs or even speaking in complete sentences. It's primal, it's instinctive, and it's happening right in front of you constantly, but you're probably looking right past it. These signals aren't subtle hints or mind games or some manipulative test she's putting you through. This is literally how human beings have communicated desire for thousands of years, long before we had words for attraction or chemistry or any of that stuff. We had bodies, and bodies don't lie. They can't. The men who actually understand this language, who can read it like you'd read a book, they never sit around wondering if she's into them. They just know. They see it happening in real time, and they respond with total confidence because there's no guesswork involved. Here's the part that's probably going to frustrate you. There was research published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior that found women send an average of 5 attraction signals before a guy even notices the first one. 5 signals. That means by the time you finally think maybe she might possibly be interested, she's already been broadcasting it for 20 minutes straight. And these aren't tiny, hidden, blink and you miss them signals either. They're happening right there, often within arm's reach of you. But most guys are so locked into their own heads, so focused on what clever thing they're going to say next, so worried about impressing her with words that they completely miss the entire conversation her body is having with them right that second. And the wildest part? The most revealing signals don't even come from where you'd expect. Not from her eyes, even though everyone talks about eye contact. Not from her smile, even though that seems obvious. They come from her hands. Her hands tell you everything, because hands are the one part of the body that most people forget to actively control. You can manufacture a polite smile. You can force yourself to maintain eye contact even when you're nervous. You can straighten your posture and project confidence. But your hands are connected to the oldest, most primitive parts of your brain. The parts that react before you even have time to think about what you're doing. That's what makes them so reliable. That's what makes them so revealing. And that's exactly why understanding what her hands are doing gives you this almost unfair advantage when it comes to reading attraction. So what I want to do right now is break down 8 specific hand gestures that show you when a woman has already decided she's attracted to you. 8 physical signals that most men walk right past without having a single clue what just happened. And I'm warning you now, once you learn this stuff, you can't unlearn it. You're going to start seeing these signals everywhere. At coffee shops, at bars, at work, on dates, at the grocery store. And here's the thing. Once you know exactly when she's chosen you, the pressure's on you. Because now there's no excuse. The only question left is whether you're actually ready to do something about it. By the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly which gestures mean she's interested, which ones mean you need to escalate right now, and which ones mean you've already let your window close. And that last one, that 8th signal, that's the most critical one on this entire list. That's the one that separates the guys who actually capitalize on attraction from the guys who go home alone wondering what the hell went wrong. All right, let's get into it. First one, when a woman is attracted to you, her hand moves toward her hair, but here's what nobody ever explains. It's not just any random hair touch. There's a specific version of this that signals genuine attraction. She'll reach up and touch her hair near the side of her face or behind her ear, and then she'll let her hand slowly descend down to her neck or her collarbone. That trailing motion, that's the key. A woman who's just fixated caressing her hair will touch it, adjust it, and move on. She's got somewhere else to be. But a woman who's attracted to you will let her hand linger there. She'll slow the whole movement down deliberately, almost like she's moving through water. She's drawing your attention to her neck, which evolutionarily speaking, is one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. In psychology, exposing your neck is a primal trust signal. It's her subconscious basically saying, I feel safe with you. I'm open to whatever might happen here. There was a researcher, Dr. Monica Moore, at Webster University, who spent over 2,000 hours just observing women in social environments. And she documented that the hair touch, combined with neck exposure, was one of the top 3 most reliable indicators of female attraction. 2,000 hours. That's not a small sample size. So if she's sitting across from you and her hand keeps floating up to her hair and then drifting down to her neck, that's not nervous energy. That's not a tick. That's an invitation. And if you don't respond to it, if you just keep talking about your job or last weekend's game without acknowledging that the energy just shifted, she's going to assume you're not picking up what she's putting down. And she'll withdraw emotionally, quietly. The window doesn't stay open forever. It closes without a sound, and often you won't even realize it happened until way later. Second one. This is subtle, and most guys have zero awareness of it, even when it's happening right in front of them. When a woman starts slowly running her fingers along an object, the stem of a wine glass, the edge of a coffee cup, the corner of a menu, the strap of her bag, she's doing something psychologists call tactile displacement. What that means is she wants to touch you, but the context doesn't allow it yet. So her hands transfer that impulse onto the nearest available thing. Think about that for a second. Her body is so drawn to you that it has to touch something just to manage the physical tension building in the interaction. Research from the University of Manchester found that these tactile displacement behaviors increase by over 60% when someone is in the presence of a person they find attractive. 60%. So her fingers tracing slow patterns on the rim of her glass isn't boredom. It's barely contained desire being expressed through a safe proxy. And here's the part that's almost funny. Most men see this and think absolutely nothing of it. They assume she's fidgeting or distracted. No, she's managing attraction she can't directly express yet. The object is just a stand-in because she can't exactly reach across the table and run her fingers along your forearm 15 minutes into meeting you. Well, she could, but that's actually the next signal. Third one. When a woman deliberately touches your arm during conversation, she's crossed a massive threshold. Physical touch is the most intentional signal in her entire communication toolkit because it requires her to override her personal space boundaries. Women don't casually touch people they're not attracted to. If she places her hand on your forearm while laughing at something you said, that's not an accident. If she taps your shoulder to emphasize a point, that's not just animated conversation. That's her testing the waters. She's checking how you react to her touch. Do you lean into it? Do you pull back? Do you reciprocate? Your response tells her everything she needs to know about whether it's safe to keep escalating. There was a study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin that showed light touch during conversation increased perceived attractiveness by nearly 40% in both directions. Meaning when she touches you, she's not only signaling that she finds you attractive, she's also making herself more attractive to you in that exact moment. Women instinctively understand this. That light touch on your arm is one of the most calculated and effective moves in the entire playbook. And yes, I said calculated. Women know exactly what they're doing when they initiate physical contact. If she touches your arm once, she's interested. Twice, she's very interested. 3 times and you still haven't reciprocated or escalated, she's going to start questioning whether you're even picking up what she's communicating. And once she starts questioning that, the attraction begins to cool. So fourth one, this might be the most revealing signal of all, and it flies completely under the radar. When a woman shows you her open palms during conversation, whether she's gesturing while talking, resting her hands on the table with palms facing upward, or handing you something with a deliberate palm-up presentation, she's communicating openness and trust on a subconscious level. Closed palms, clenched fists, hands tucked under the table, or hidden in pockets, those all signal guarded energy, self-protection, emotional distance. But open palms facing you, that's the body's way of saying, I have nothing to hide. I'm completely receptive to you right now. Evolutionary psychologists trace this back to early human behavior, where showing open palms signified you weren't holding a weapon. It meant peaceful intention. It's deeply hardwired. So when she's sitting across from you, talking with animated open palm gestures, she's not just naturally expressive. She's literally opening herself up to you, emotionally and psychologically. And most women do this completely unconsciously. She's not thinking, let me display my palms to signal receptivity. Her body is doing it automatically because her attraction to you has activated a trust response she can't override. This is the kind of signal you can't fake. It's authentic because it comes from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. Fifth one. Now we're getting into territory where she's practically spelling it out for you. If a woman finds a reason to touch your hand, whether she's playfully comparing hand sizes, jokingly reading your palm, or deliberately brushing her fingers against yours, when passing you something, she's made her decision. Hand-to-hand contact is one of the most intimate, non-romantic touches that exists. Hands have one of the highest concentrations of nerve endings in the entire body. When her fingers graze yours, both of your brains release a small surge of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. She feels it, you feel it, and she knows you feel it. This is where so many guys fumble the moment. She creates this electric point of contact, this tiny bridge between her body and yours. And instead of holding the moment, instead of letting his fingers linger against hers for even 2 extra seconds, the guy pulls his hand away like he just touched a hot stove. And just like that, the spell breaks. The opportunity closes. When she touches your hand, stay there. Don't flinch. Don't rush. Let the contact breathe for a moment. If you can hold that moment with calm confidence, she'll recognize you're someone who isn't afraid of intimacy, who isn't afraid of connection. And that confidence alone is often the thing that makes her think, yeah, this is the one. Sixth one, the inner wrist is one of the most vulnerable areas of the body. The skin is thin, veins are visible, and historically, it's been a point of extreme vulnerability. When a woman exposes her inner wrist to you, resting her arms on the table, with wrists facing upward, adjusting her bracelet, and letting her wrist linger in your line of sight, or resting her chin on her hand, with wrist turned toward you, she's sending a deeply primal signal of trust and receptivity. This comes straight from evolutionary biology. Exposing vulnerable body parts to someone is an unconscious way of saying, I trust you enough to show you the parts of me that are unprotected. Researchers who study nonverbal communication have written extensively about how wrist exposure correlates with romantic interest. It's one of those signals that's almost impossible to fake because it emerges from such a deep instinctual place. So if you're on a date and you notice her wrists are consistently turned toward you, open and exposed, understand that she's offering something significant. She's communicating that she feels safe enough around you to let her guard down completely. And if you see that signal and you don't make a move, if you don't escalate, if you don't at minimum take her hand or create deeper physical connection, you're essentially rejecting that trust. And a woman who feels her trust has been ignored or rejected will never extend it to you again. Seventh one. Here's one that reveals not just attraction, but readiness for escalation. When you touch her lightly, respectfully, testing the waters, and she immediately mirrors that touch back to you. She's not just accepting your contact, she's amplifying it. For example, you touch her forearm while making a point, and moments later, she touches your forearm in the same way. Or you brush her shoulder as you're walking, and she leans slightly into that contact instead of away from it. This mirroring is her way of saying, yes, I want this. Continue. Mirroring is one of the most powerful indicators of rapport and mutual interest in all of nonverbal communication research. When it happens with physical touch specifically, it's confirmation that she's not just tolerating your proximity. She's actively participating in creating connection. Most men don't pay attention to whether their touch is reciprocated. They just hope for the best. But when you start noticing mirroring, you gain absolute clarity on whether you should keep escalating or pull back. If she mirrors your touch, that's a green light. If she doesn't, that's information too. Either way, you're no longer guessing. Eighth one. This is the most powerful signal on this entire list, and it's the one that separates clear interest from polite interaction. When a woman places her hand somewhere on or near you and leaves it there, resting her hand on your knee during conversation, placing her hand on your chest while laughing, putting her hand on your back as you're walking, she's moved beyond testing the waters. She's announcing her intention. Sustained contact requires deliberate choice. A brief touch can be accidental or playful. Sustained contact is a statement. She's creating ongoing physical connection, which means she's comfortable occupying your space. She trusts your proximity, and she wants you to recognize that the barrier between casual and intimate has already been crossed. This is the signal that means I'm ready for you to do something about this. The window is open. Act. And here's the critical piece that ties everything together. These signals have a shelf life. A woman won't keep sending them indefinitely. She'll test the waters with one signal, then another, maybe a third. And if she gets nothing back, no acknowledgement, no reciprocation, no escalation, she'll pull every single one of those signals back like she's reeling in a fishing line. And once they're gone, they're gone. I've watched this happen more times than I can count. A woman puts herself out there with these subtle but unmistakable cues, and the guy just sits there, either totally oblivious or paralyzed by hesitation. And eventually, she closes off. Her hands go back to her lap. Her body angles away. She checks her phone, and the guy is left sitting there 10 minutes later, wondering why the energy suddenly changed. The energy changed because she gave you the roadmap and you didn't follow it. The window is real, and the clock starts ticking from the moment she sends that first signal. Respond with warmth, confidence, and reciprocated touch, and that window stays open. Hesitate too long, and it shuts. Not with a dramatic slam, with a quiet click. And that quiet click is the worst sound in the world, because you won't even realize it happened until it's already too late. So now you know. The hair touch that descends to the neck, the fingers caressing objects, the arm contact, the open palms, the finger grazes, the exposed wrist, the mirrored touch, the sustained hand placement. Every single one of these is a woman telling you without words, I've chosen you. The only thing left is for you to choose her back. And the way you do that isn't with words. It's with action. A touch returned, a hand held, physical escalation that says I heard every signal you sent and I'm right here with you.